bro.
I'm not gonna talk too much about it.
Yeah, I don't want to get you in trouble.
No, not in trouble.
Yo, I gotta shave you.
I had a phone the whole time. I had a phone the whole time in jail. I vlogged the whole experience, and I'm gonna expose the corruption and everything.
Wait, did you?
Vitali, the same guy who landed him in their jail system after acting wild and reckless, like a kid with zero guidance, and when he popped up at that conference, he barely looked like the same person anymore. After all that case, he was deported back to his home country, Russia, and most people assumed that was it for him for a long while. But nope, 1 week later, Vitali soil.
Vitali, have a motherfucking seat.
Yo,
the man of the fucking hour. Welcome home, baby. Let's fucking go.
What's good, Chad? What's good?
Touching down in Florida of all places. And trust me, it didn't take long for him to start moving messy again while dropping information that's not going to sit right with the back in the Philippines. First things first, let's talk about Vitali's comeback post. Says a lot. In his own words, he wrote, after 290 days in the Philippines jail with rats, cockroaches, and 35 degrees Celsius weather, which I was about 95 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm finally free. They really tried to, but it claiming that I had the 290 days. That alone already had people talking. He didn't stop there either. He also said he spent 91 of them in complete isolation. They wanted me gone, but I'm here, all glory to God. Along with that, he shared photos showing what his daily life looked like inside that Philippines. When he wasn't locked in isolation, he was in a tiny cot under a tin roof with barely any to move, and what looks like a small makeshift setup behind him. Maybe a wardrobe, maybe even what up to be a lone hot dog bun sitting there. The visuals were rough, and the story behind them hits even harder. In this video clip, behind bars, just staring off into the distance and pours down around him. The whole scene looked dramatic, almost cinematic. It was filmed on some emotional night inside the facility. Honestly, it feels like it was taken during an intimate moment, sitting next to a guy who suspiciously like Bobby Lee, which only makes the image more surreal. And in the final photo, he is shown taking part in what looks like a Bible study, trying to find some kind of grounding in the middle of all that chaos. They also released footage from his actual deportation, and you already know there'd be massive news over in the Philippines. This wasn't some quiet situation that flew under the radar. It felt like a full-on national headline moment. And to be real, I don't really have any personal hate to Vitali right now. For everything he did, it honestly feels like he served way more than time in that Philippines, especially considering how intense those conditions were. More than anything, it really seems like they made an example out of him. A clear warning shot to all these nuisance streamers traveling overseas, acting reckless without thinking. In many ways, Vitali ended up being the scapegoat, a walking basically saying, "You're not to disrespect us and get away with it." That message was loud and clear, and they made sure everyone saw it. Coming up, you're going to see why this whole situation could back on them in a...
Again, you made a mistake. Look, I'll be real,
But bro, they charged me with disturbing the peace, ready? It's for each count, it's 30 days, right?
Yeah.
But guess what? It wasn't enough for them. You know what they hit me after with?
What?
Cybercrime, because I filmed it 6 months.
The real question now is whether Vitali actually learned something from all this. It's just going to slide back in behavior with a fart. And judging by that last sit plane, one thing is obvious. He looks insanely relieved to finally be there. Vitali also dropped a couple of videos the moment he was finally free. And yeah, there's no denying it, he looks completely different now. The big gray in it, his face looks worn, and to him, he even dyed it before stepping out wearing Aiden Ross merch, which all tells you he was in full troll mode. That move alone felt intentional. It looked like Vitali was clowning everyone who said he'd be shipped straight to the front lines in Russia, acting like he was about to join the military, appear forever. Instead, the man was all proving once again that the internet jumped the gun. He also shared a photo with his mother, and this is where things really start to spiral. Because of course this couldn't stay normal. Vitali makes his first public appearance in 9 months, and suddenly it turns into a full crossover episode. We're talking Vitali, Aiden Ross, Adam22, and Jason Love all colliding in boxing of the same one we talked about before, where Adam22 to fight Jason Love. And this is exactly where the kicks off. What's wild is that after spending 200 nights locked up, Vitali's back in mode. No hesitation at all, and is first to be Adam22.
You didn't have enough practice on those Filipino gang members in there?
Nah, they were Asian. I couldn't feel anything. But
Is crazy, especially considering Vitali hasn't seen anything but them faces and walls for months straight. Honestly, that question clearly struck a nerve. When says him on personal stuff like that, especially involving his marriage, he can't explode, but he also can't ignore it. So instead, he tries to answer calmly and seriously, lands forced, like he's trying to save face while brushing it off. I love how Adam clearly thought that post to drop, like he really did something there. But in a packed, grown men, didn't land the way he expected at all. It just came off awkward and kind of sad if we're being real. From that point, the whole vibe turned fast. And honestly, it's wild how much Vitali leaned into it, really putting things up. He even pulled up wearing the same shirt he had on in jail, soaking up the attention like it was part of the rollout. Visually, he looked like a strange mix of Forrest Gump, all those miles on the road, and Happy Gilmore, and people noticed. Once again, Adam couldn't stop during his wife Jason's sighs in a way that had the whole room reacting, and you could feel the tension immediately. Nothing about that moment helped his case at all. The time this video actually drops, the fight will already be over from last night. That means Adam either walked away humbled after hitting the canvas, or somehow shocked everyone and in a big way. Either outcome, people were locked in and ready to talk. Some to comment on my last video predicting absolute chaos if Adam lost. And honestly, some of you see scenarios way too far. The internet really has no chill sometimes. And Adam didn't help himself by continuing to make outrageous remarks afterward. Just pause for a second, and as being your parents, putting all of this out there publicly, the long-term embarrassment alone is rough to think about, and no amount of money fully erases that kind of spotlight or pressure. That's just reality. When the two guys finally squared up for the face-off, most people weren't even watching them. All eyes were on Adam's wife, because she clearly couldn't look away, and that detail didn't slip past anyone in the room. I mean, just look at the way she stares at him, locked in, eyes full of intensity. I'm telling you, that look says way more than words ever could. Whatever history is there, it clearly left a mark, and you can feel that tension from a mile away. But let's bring it back to Vitali, because this whole thing has turned into a non-stop crossover episode. This situation is wilder than the Jimmy versus Timmy Power Hour, just stacked on chaos. Vitali ends up joining Aiden on stream and finally starts opening up about what he went through inside that Philippines jail. And this is where things get spicy in a different way. This is exactly the kind of information that the people in charge over there are not going to be happy about at all. Aiden is clearly making a calculated move here, trying to pull Vitali to the spotlight and get those numbers again. Now, whether Vitali ends up into some long-term deal with Aiden, where he's tied to him moving forward, part is up in the air. Only time will tell how deep that partnership really goes. Jokes aside, if Vitali recorded or documented his experience in there, showing the unhygienic and brutal reality of daily life inside that prison, it's obvious the government over in this would be furious. That kind of brings heat nobody wants. Vitali also a point that really stands out. In one of my earlier videos, I tried the conditions he's likely dealing with, and I ended up finding an old interview from a few years back. Someone had secretly filmed inside, and an elderly man claimed he'd been for years after overstaying his visa by just weeks. He described the place as a wasteland, somewhere people are forgotten and slowly waste away. And that lines up eerily well with what Vitali has been. And honestly, Vitali did all of that for one main reason. He was chasing internet clout in any way he could get it. At the time, it really felt like he was hunting for a massive deal with Kick, trying to stay relevant no matter the cost. On top of that, I genuinely believe he wasn't in the best headspace, and it looked like alcohol or other substances may have been influencing his judgment to stretch. That whole world tour narrative sounds good on paper, but let's be real for a second. I'll throw some clips up while I'm talking. But it always cracks me up how people, because they travel overseas and hand out some cash, tech, everything else they do suddenly gets a free pass. Yeah, it's a good thing, no doubt about it. But that doesn't magically cancel out reckless behavior and his bad decisions lead consequences. You can still mess up badly at the time. That's the people don't want to talk about. The good moments, and Vitali found that out the hard way. That lesson hit hard. And just an ultimate crossover episode, I want to give you a quick update on Fusi, heading down a very similar road. Both of these guys were OG YouTube pranksters who jumped into live streaming and started acting without limits. But unlike Vitali, Fusi stepped away from the internet for several months. Now here's the part. On paper at least, Fusi seems to be a lot better. Disappeared, regrouped, and came back presenting himself as a completely different person. Whether that chicks long-term is another story, but the contrast between the two right now is hard to ignore. So now currently stepping into building competitions, and not just showing up, but actually winning them. That alone caught a lot of people off guard. Yeah, somehow, someway, Fusi has risen from the ashes once again. And honestly, the only real offense he seems to be committing these days is being a little cringe. Compared to where he used to be, that's not exactly the worst problem to have. But let's keep it real for a second. The tough truth is that now that Fusi isn't constantly spiraling or melting down online, there aren't many people lining up to non-stop attend his ego probably wants. That said, it is good to see him turning his life around, even if some of the things he says online make people roll their eyes. The top phrases, energy, all of that, it's a lot for a grown man, no doubt. But at the end of the day, stability beats every single time, and at least he's not self-destructing anymore. Now, the last thing I wanted to show you guys today was the co-founder of Kick speaking directly on the situation. And after seeing that, I honestly think there's a chance Vitali ends up in the streaming world. If he really follows through on exposing what he claims happens, things could get very interesting very fast. But yeah, I mainly wanted to give you guys a full update on this entire situation. The crossover between all these characters was way too wild to ignore. Now I want to hear from you. What do you think about this whole update? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you made it this far, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who's been following badness too. I appreciate every single one of you for watching, and I'll catch you in the